we've talked about choosing your friends, and we've talked about worship, and we've heard Sister Crystal and everything else. But you know, what I've been on this week was relationship, you know, and trust, and you know, we all naturally desire, you know, to feel love and feel affection, and you know, from someone or something, you know, that's just a natural desire that we have that was created in us, and we all know we was created in His image, so we know if we feel those things, that's what He feels, and that's what He longs for also. He longs for that relationship, and He longs for that desire from us to love Him and to want to commune with Him and to have that affectionate relationship with Him, that one-on-one. You know, when we, for our spouses or our friends or our family, our loved ones, our children, you know, we make those sacrifices for them to be able to feel that relationship with them. You know, we'll sacrifice everything that we have. We'll sacrifice our energy, our time, you know, for them. You know, so why shouldn't we do the same for Him? You know, and no matter as long as me and Sister Crystal's been married, and you know, I know the things that she wants, and she knows the things that I want, and the things that I like. But you know, there's always something lacking. You know, there's always something that I could do more for her to make her day better, or something she could do for me. You know, you're always longing something in that relationship. You know, but with the Lord, you don't have to long for that. He already knows what you want. He knows what you need. You know, if you want that warmth and embrace from somebody, He's already there with you. You know, you don't have to ask Him and say, Lord, I want to feel somebody today. I want to feel that embrace. He already knows that. You know, in our relationship with Sister Crystal, you know, I know that there's things that I fail. You know, some days that when she's wanting that embrace from someone, you know, I may miss that. You know, I may not be that person that's there to give that to her, because, you know, I fail daily. I fail her, she fails me, I fail our children. You know, there's always something that you're going to fail on. You're not always going to be 100%. But there's one person that I know without a shadow of a doubt, He'll never fail you. He'll never forsake you. He'll never leave you. And He's always there, 100% of what you need. It's just all, and if you're going to accept Him and come to Him and let Him build that relationship with Him. You know, and the only way you're going to build that relationship with Him is get in His Word and study and talk to Him. You know, me and Sister Crystal first started dating, you know, we couldn't have built a relationship if we never talked.
Right,
if I never talked to her, we would have never been married, had a beautiful family, and been married this long if I never called her or never aggravated the mess out of her every day.
Now we know.
Every day.
Yes.
And you can ask her, the day that we met, I told her, I said, I'm not in high school and I'm not going to play games. Either you want to be with me or you don't. Because I'm not going to chase you if you don't want to be with me. I said, I'm not going to play games. And she'll tell you to this day, that's what I told her the first night I met her. And that first night that I met her, I knew that was going to be my wife. And it's the same with the Lord. You're not going to build that if you never call on Him or never talk to Him. Because you're not going to know Him. You're not going to know His wants. You're not going to know everything about Him. You know, we can read and study His Word, you know, and learn about Him, but you're never going to get that one-on-one relationship if you never talk to Him.
Right, that's right.
You know, we don't have to beg Him for affection. We don't have to beg Him for nothing. And so that's just what I studied on a little bit this week. And in Deuteronomy it tells you, be strong and of good courage, fear not, nor be afraid of them, for the Lord thy God, He it is that doeth go with thee. He will not fail thee nor forsake thee. You know, and I read constantly over and over that He will never leave me, never forsake me. He sticketh closer to me than a brother. He's a truer friend than any I've ever had.
Yes.
I love Crystal dearly. but I love the Lord more because He's
Yeah.
everything that I need.
Yes.
And in Psalms, it says, "The righteous cry, and the Lord heareth, and delivereth them out of all their troubles. The Lord is nigh to them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him out of them all." You know, and I love to just read the word of the Lord where it tells me all that I need to hear. You know, on the days that I feel troubled, or the days that I'm longing for something, it don't matter what it is, whatever I'm longing for, I can just go and read scriptures and He's going to fulfill that need that I have in my life. You know, it says, "Surely He shall not be moved forever. The righteous shall be in everlasting remembrance. He shall not be afraid of evil tidings. His heart is fixed, trusting in the Lord. His heart is established. He shall not be afraid until he sees his desire upon his enemies." You know, and I just read over and over that He reassures me that He's going to be there for me.
He'll be there when nobody else is.
Correct. You know, I may get up in the mornings, and I love to pick on my wife because she has changed her biscuits because of Samuel. You know, he likes a certain biscuit, so now she gets up and I can smell them cooking when I get up in the morning, or if I'm in the restroom getting ready or something, and I'll smell biscuits and bacon, and I'll come in there, and it breaks my heart when I come in there and see a rolled out biscuit. And I aggravate the mess out of her about that, you know, and you know, she knows that I like cat head biscuits, you know. But you know, it's the little things, you know, sometimes it just discourages, you know, but the Lord's never gonna discourage you. He's never gonna let your heart down, you know. When you wake up and you can feel the presence of the Lord, it's not like those biscuits. When you get up, you smell those biscuits, you can go in there and it's not the ones you want. But when you get up and you feel the presence of the Lord, it's going to be everything that you want.
Yes.
It's not going to be something different. It's not going to be something false. When you feel the presence of the Lord, it's not going to be nothing that's going to mistake you. It's always going to be 100% of what you need, or 100% of what you want. He's always available, no matter the time of the day. He's always there. We may not speak to Him face to face, but when you speak to Him, He's closer than anybody you've ever felt. Even though you've never seen His face, He's truer than anything you've ever had. And in Philippians it says, "Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known unto God." You know, it tells us to let our requests be made, but He already knows your request. He already knows what you want. But it's just the assurance of having that conversation of asking Him, "Lord, you know I need this," or I know you need this to move. I need this to move today. It's not the point of Him already knowing, it's the point of He wants you to commune with Him. He wants you to have that conversation with Him. He wants you to sit down and be that friend. Have that relationship, that one-on-one with Him.
I was just thinking about the word, the letter. The letter will kill you. You can see that with the Israelites. They saw miracles and everything else, but all they had was the word.
Right.
They didn't have anything to sustain them, and so they fall. That's why God changed that covenant. And if we have Him in us, and we have that relationship, those experiences that you have with Him will sustain you when you're the weakest, when you can't. For instance, if they take your Bible away, see those experiences, you'll have that to sustain you. What you can memorize, you'll have that to sustain you.
Right.
But without it, you just can't can't make it.
Right.
Either way.
And it says in Hebrews, it says, let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have, for he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. And Peter, 1 Peter says, humble yourself therefore under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you.
What'd you say that scripture was on right there?
1 Peter 5, 6, and 7. But in 7 it says, casting all your care upon him. You know, not just a little bit, but all of it. It says we must humble ourselves therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. But we have to, we've studied on surrender, we've studied on all of it, but it's when you humble yourself before somebody. It's the same in our relationship when I humbled. When you go before your spouse, you try to go and let them know everything about you. That way there's nothing in the dark. And it's the same with the Lord, it says cast all your care upon him. You can't go to the Lord and hide just a little bit, because he already knows. You have to expose everything to him. Even though he knows us, through and through, he knows every hair on our head. It's just a part of letting him know everything. Coming to him and humbling and total surrender. But that's what I had studied on this week, and if anybody has any input, would be wonderful. Because I didn't have a whole lot. That was just something that was on me. And when you talk about your relationship on the Lord, and surrendering and giving all to him, and it's pretty much cut and dry. There's no in between. You have to give it all to him.
When you first started talking, you were talking about how, yes, I'm alive, thank you. How we, as humans, we need that. We need safety and security. I was thinking about that, went directly back to my nursing study. I was thinking about there's this thing, it's a triangle, it's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is the actual name of it, and it lists the things that human beings need, and that's it. Love, acceptance, that's one of the basic levels on there when you think about like what you have to survive, basically. Right. So it starts out with like your physiological needs. You need shelter, you need food, stuff like that, but love and acceptance is on there.
Right.
So you have to have security,
Right. It's a natural desire.
It's made into us that
right.
way.
Same as kids, if you throw them down, they naturally gonna want you to pick them up,
Mm.
cause they love that. It's the same as adults, it's built into us.
Right, like physical touch, I mean,
Right.
just, there's things, I mean, an infant, if you, when it's first born, if you just laid it over there in its little crib and just didn't touch it and pick it up or whatever, it'd probably die. You know what I mean? I mean, you could feed it or whatever, but they need to be held and touched and nurtured, and all of that kind of stuff to survive.
I mean, when I worked overseas, I'd be gone 2 or 3 months at a time. I know that no matter how many times I talk to Sister Crystal every day,
It's not the same.
it's not the same as being able to touch her, touch her
Yeah.
hand. It's you long for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that goes back to Genesis where God said it's not good for man to be alone.
Right.
So you knew what he was doing the whole time.
Right.